Welcome back to Cultivating Contentment. This is week 3, day 1. Our new chapter is called The Complainer in All of Us. And I've seen some comments or heard from some people that they're kind of looking forward to this, but maybe not. So our scripture for this week is, "Don't I have a right to complain? Wild donkeys bray when they find no green grass, and oxen low when they have no food." And this was from Job 6:5. Don't I have a right to complain? And then you look at what he says after that. Both things, wild donkeys and oxen, they cry or they complain when they don't have food. We complain about all kinds of things, not when we just don't have food. So one of the things that I'm going to give you a minute to think about is something near and dear to my heart. So we call our favorite gripes or complaints, we call pet peeves. So I have a few, so I'm just curious to know what your pet peeves are. So if you want to divulge that, please do. If not, then you can keep that to yourself. But I want you to think about, do you have those pet peeves, those things that just really annoy you? So I'll just share a quick story. When we lived in Indiana, we had a small group of people that we met with from our church, and this small group became our friend circle while we lived down there. And we had talked about pet peeves in one of our small group meetings, and I just remember saying that one of my pet peeves is when couples dress alike. Just annoys me. I don't know why, but it does. And so we went out to dinner one night, all of our small group, and there was probably, I don't know, 15 or 20 of us. And at some point in dinner, I'm not exactly sure how they did this without us noticing, but at some point during dinner, everybody slipped off whatever they had on the outside, and they had shirts on underneath that were matching. So the couples were all matching, and so the joke was on us on the pet peeve of dressing alike. So I mean, that's just kind of a silly pet peeve. Some of us have some that are much more serious than that, but so if you care to divulge yours, I'd be happy to hear. So one of the most visible results of a discontented heart comes right out of our mouths. Complaining is a habit that we all seem to learn. We start young and we learn it pretty well. Nobody needs to teach us how to complain. It comes quite naturally. And nowhere is this gift for gripe more apparent than in children. A child can complain before they even learn how to talk, and it's all in their facial expressions. Can't you just see their sweet faces contorted by narrow eyes, a furrowed brow, and a protruding lip? As children grow, they refine their pouting techniques, and adding that stamped foot and maybe a sigh and the eye roll, and then the ever-ready wail of protest. Her piece is bigger than mine. He took the one I was going to take. She always gets to go first. I'm sure we've all heard these, or maybe even said these a time or two. As we grow into adulthood, most of us drop our bouts of sulking, and we don't stick out our lower lip anymore. But this isn't really a sign that the complaining has ended. We've just learned how to refine our style of complaining. So I laugh because you can see before I even started reading through this, I thought, boy, kids, they really know how to do that complaining. Like we don't have to teach them that. Little babies, they already know how to complain. They cry when they're wet. They cry when they're hungry. They cry when they just want to be held or not getting enough attention. They learn their ways of complaining so that they get results. So I want you to think about, first of all, think about those pet peeves. And then here are our questions for the week. So what kind of complaints Oh, that should say, do you most often hear? So, what kind of complaints do you most often hear? And question 2, why do people complain about those things? Does it serve any purpose? Does it do any good? So think about, what do you hear people complaining about? And then, does it really do any good? So think about that. Think about that in your own life. Do you have certain things that you always complain about? And do you complain just to hear yourself complain? Or do you really think something is going to result from those complaints? So have a good day, and I will talk to you again tomorrow, and stay safe.